been in 1 Corinthians? All right, good. So we certainly want to invite you to participate regularly. We see this as a study series, but also a sermon series. But it isn't just a sermon series where I'm supposed to study it, or some of the teachers are supposed to study it and then bring you all the goods, and then you sort of have a once-a-week feast, and then you don't eat all week long, and then you come back and stuff yourself again on a Sunday, and so on. So the idea is we're setting up the meal, we're opening the door, or getting us into 1 Corinthians. This week will be, the design of the topic will be to get us into 1 Corinthians as a whole, as some people weren't here last week, and then to go a little further into 1 Corinthians 1, to begin setting up the rest of the book. So that's where we are, where we're going. I, Paul, have been called and sent by Jesus the Messiah, according to God's plan, along with my friend Sosthenes. I send this letter to you in God's church at Corinth, believers cleaned up by Jesus and set apart for a God-filled life. I include in my greeting all who call out to Jesus wherever they live. He's their master as well as ours. May all the gifts and benefits that come from God our Father and the Master Jesus Christ be yours. So this introduction, when we spent our time last week talking about 1 Corinthians, it was really based out of this text. We were trying to get our mind around a concept, and I know it's a little bit academic and it could be a little bit intimidating. I want you to move up into all you can be in Christ. So, in general, what we're trying to get to is what was God saying originally to the people in Corinth, and what would that mean for us now? What is God's original intent of His Word? As His Word comes from Him through Paul to the people, what was He trying to say? And then what are the current applications? And to do that, I actually took that color tool. If you guys know the little color tool in these design software, you know the one where you just go and you get the color by clicking. So I clicked right there and put writer. I clicked right around there and put document, and I clicked right around here and put audience. If you can put together the spark with the fire, the spark with the wood, with the oxygen, you can have a flame. The Spirit of God would speak to us. So there is a technical side. To get to this, what we all want, to experience the fullness of the Spirit's interpretation of the Word, to be profoundly moved by the Word, so that the Word is making a road in the normal, everyday city of our lives, that the Word would come to life. It'll take some paying attention to who is the writer, who is the audience that he's communicating with originally, and what does the document actually say. So that's what this, or another way to say that original intent, is just to hear and understand God's voice. So if it's better for you to just go, oh, okay, that's what you're talking about when you say so. So here, the writer, we're understanding Paul wrote this. He's not one of the original 12 apostles, formerly named Saul. You can pick up a lot about him in Acts. If you were just wanting to do something extra, get some background reading, you can pick up about Paul in Acts if you like. You'll see Acts 8, Acts 13, Acts 8, Acts 9, quite a bit about Acts there. Let's see. He was formerly a zealous Pharisee, so he's quite the Jewish, he was Jew of Jews is what he calls himself. In another place, he had formerly persecuted the church. If you remember, he was against this thing, the new expression of that old covenant Judaism in the new covenant referred to as Christianity. He opposed it strongly, so had quite a deep understanding of both Judaism and then his antagonism against the church. Converted and appointed as an apostle directly with an encounter with Christ, as recorded in Acts 9. He was one of the church's earliest missionaries, especially commissioned to operate among the Gentiles. He planted churches all over the Mediterranean world. We have a map for that in just a moment. And he authored more New Testament books than any other writer. So it's all those books that Paul wrote. So yeah, that gives us an idea of who is the writer. Go to the next idea. So who's the audience? We started this slide last week, and if you remember, the screen timed out on me. So Corinth. Sophisticated, complicated city, a trade city, a city built primarily on a trade route, both that had a port. It's a port city, and it was the main trade route between other axes and a main from all of the Western world accessing through to Athens at the time. So Corinth's importance, in the ancient world was considerable. It was the densely populated capital of the Roman province of Achaia. A prefecture within contemporary Greece bears the name still, so 2,000 something years later the area is still referred to that. A busy commercial center and subject therefore to many outside influences. The nature of lots of people coming from all over the world to partake in what happens in a space, it brings a lot of things with it, okay? It brings a lot of values, a lot of ideas, a lot of different opinions, a lot of experiences and challenges and worldviews. Those all come together, and it was a thriving port city. It was infamous for its sexual vice and the immorality happening in the city. Located on the route from Rome to the east, its key geographical position was ideal for the spread of the gospel as merchants and travelers from many places passed through it. So you're getting your mind around who's the audience, what is the city like? Does it sound like a city you've ever heard of before? Idea is to bring the gospel into every place, every phase, every part of life, every part of your physical life, your emotional life, your spiritual life, your sleep, your diet, your family. What is the gospel? What does it mean to be a Christian in all those areas of my life?